October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men will experience physical violence by their partner at some point in their life. But domestic violence isn't just physical. It's described as a pattern of abusive behavior in a relationship used by one partner to gain or maintain power over the other. This can be physical, sexual, emotional, economic, psychological, and technological. It can happen to anyone, regardless of their age, sex, race, or social status. Joining me now to discuss this further are Michael and Shirley Kinchen, and we want to say thank you both for joining us this morning. Like so many families, you've been impacted by domestic violence. Can you tell us about your story?
Well, ironically, our story began in October of 2020. Our daughter was married. She was 30 years old, and by all outward appearances seemed to be a normal, healthy family. I knew that there was some control issues, but she had told me, "It's no big deal, Mom. I can handle it." On the morning of the 21st, she called and said it had gotten really bad, and that her and her husband, I don't like saying his name, were fighting, and she was leaving her work and needed me to come. And so I told her I would, and not to go in the house until I got there. So I did. I went. When I got there, they were arguing in the front yard. We went inside, and he just started arguing. She had, I guess, learned, because she had told me when they had disagreements, it didn't matter what she said, she could never win. It was always her fault. And so she just sat there, and he was, telling her that, if she didn't want him to be there, just let her know. He let him know he would leave, and if she didn't want to be with him. Then the police showed up. I need to preface that he did have security cameras on all around their house, so he could see everything that was, anyone approaching from outside. He saw the police show up, and he thought that we had called the police, and we assured him that we had not. But the neighbors had. Of course, they had seen them arguing
in the front yard.
And Savannah had gone down to one of the neighbors' house when he had left and come back. Then we went inside again, and we were talking, and the police came, and as in any domestic, they divided them and talked to each of them separately. They asked about weapons in the house, and Savannah assured them that there were none, that he was not legally permitted to have a gun. And so they made him leave. They had asked her if she wanted to sign up, press charges or do a protective order. There were no, he had never been physical that I know of. And he wasn't physical. He had just grabbed her arm that morning, but there was no harm. The police made him leave, which made him more angry, and told him to be gone for 24 hours. Then they could, he could come back. So he did. And at that time, Savannah was concerned about the children. They were in school. And so she called the school, and they told her, that she had to come down and sign some papers. And then that way, if he came, if their dad came, that they could call her first, because he had gone and gotten them without her knowing at some point when they had been fighting previously. And so they said she had to come down. So we left and went to the school. while we were gone, he called on the car phone. He called and was asking where she was, and everything. And we talked for a good while on the phone. He was wanting to talk. I just want to talk. I want to see you. I want to talk. Savannah told him that she just could not do it today. I can't do it today. We will talk. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I had talked to him also and told him, let's just all calm down, talk tomorrow. I said, your mom can be there and everything. So anyway, we did what we had to do at the school. We went home. And we had talked about her going back to work and me going and then meeting back when the kids got home from school. At that point, she was looking at the monitor and I asked her about that. And she said she wanted to see if he had come back. And so I said, okay, well, you do that. I'm going to run to the restroom real quick. I went into the restroom, and as I did, he pulled back the shower curtain. He was hiding in the bathtub in the shower. He pulled back the shower curtain, pulled a gun on me, and told me he was going to kill us both. Somehow, I don't really know, but I fought with him, got him out of the bathroom. We fought through the door, and after a few moments, it seemed like longer, but after a few moments, he left. And I heard Savannah scream. I heard gunshots. I left the bathroom. I tried to get out the front door to get to their neighbor, who was a DPS officer. I fell a couple of times, but I finally did. And he came with a weapon. And as he came out of his house and headed toward their house, he was driving off in the truck, in their Savannah's truck, and he just ran. We went back, and he had shot Savannah several times. We called, he started CPR. We called 911, and they took her to the hospital, and she died that day. He was on the run for 12 hours. The Harris County sheriffs tried to apprehend him. They found him later that day, about 9:00 at night. He pulled a gun on them. They did shoot him. He was in the hospital then for, I don't know, a few weeks, I guess. And then he was in jail. He petitioned for a lower bond, which he got. And then he bonded out of Harris County. He remotely bonded out of Galveston County because they lived in Galveston County, but he was apprehended in Harris County. So he had charges in both counties. He remotely bonded out of Galveston County. When they found out, they did put bond restrictions. They had him wear an ankle monitor. We know from social media that once he bonded out, he was on social media. He was driving all over Houston, posting videos and different things. When I called and told the police about that, they said, just keep your cool. We got it handled. Eventually, he stole a vehicle at knife point. At that point, they decided to revoke his bond. Once they did that, they subpoenaed the information from the ankle monitor, which showed that he had only worn it about 10% of the time that he was out. And instead of going to court for his bond revocation hearing, he ran. He was on the run for approximately 10 months. They got a tip that he was in Florida, and the Florida law enforcement tried to apprehend him, and he ultimately killed himself. Savannah left behind 2 small children. At the time, they were 7 and 11. We immediately took custody of them and were granted guardianship, conservatorship. We have since adopted them. They are doing okay. You know, they've had therapy and for a couple of years, and the youngest, his daughter, she's having to re-enter into therapy for some issues that have come up now as she's gotten a little bit older. Um, and that's where we are today. We started her employer. She was working at Forest Park East at the time of her death, cemetery, funeral home and cemetery, and she was very happy there. She felt like she had finally found the place that she was supposed to be. She had told me, "Mom, I just know this is where God wants me to be." And she loved helping others at their most horrible moment, you know, at the death of their loved ones. Um,
I know this is just such an emotional story for you to have to relive, and we appreciate you sharing it with us. I do want to ask, in the interest of helping others out there who may be victims of domestic violence, were there initial signs that you were worried about with this man? Did he exhibit any certain sort of behavior that was concerning to you?
he did. As I said, it was the control issues. He wanted to know where she was all the time, even at work. It ended up as it escalated. He was tracking her phone, so he knew where she was. You know, if she was on the cemetery grounds at work, or you know, sometimes she had to leave for different things. He had placed voice recorders in their home to record conversations. There was some isolation. Anytime they became friends with another couple in the neighborhood, it would be fine for a couple of months, and then they wouldn't be seeing them anymore. And he always gave some excuse that they had done something. Um, and also isolation from the family. He controlled all the money. Um, he gave her, you know, what she needed to pay bills. He dealt on cash only. Um, so you know, he controlled the money. He controlled her actions, where she went. Um, Anything else?
Yeah, he had a typical narcissistic attitude. Everything was everybody else's fault. Nothing was ever his fault. He was never responsible for anything, but he controlled everything. And it was the world against him. He didn't trust anybody. Like Shirley said, he did not trust banks. He did not do that. I don't know if he ever filed a tax return. He worked cash only. He handled it himself. Now, very controlling, very controlling.
And Michael, from a father's standpoint, what impact would you say this has all had on your family moving forward?
Oh, it's tragic. Uh, he always caused division. You know, he would try to pit us against our daughter, or our daughter against us, and it the ripples in the pond is still going to this day. Uh, the thing that stands out to me is the legal system, and how he manipulated the legal system to get his way and to do what he wanted to do. Everybody needs to understand that after he assaulted my wife, he killed our daughter in front of her. He pulled a pistol and assaulted the Harris County sheriffs, and they had to shoot him to take him down. He immediately, once he got back into the prison system, he immediately bonded out. He was in custody behind bars 3 times since he assaulted my wife, killed our daughter, and assaulted the sheriffs. And they legally bonded him out 3 times. Third time, he took his monitor off. He stole a car at gunpoint, at knife point, I'm sorry. And then he disappeared for almost 10 months. Nobody knew where he was. And having to have police in our driveway, in our front yard for over 2 weeks when he was out on the run. Nobody knew where he was. Nobody knew what he was going to do. And living in fear and having to explain to these children that, yes, that's their father, but they need to be afraid of him because of what he's done, and we don't know what he's going to do next. That's tragic for the children. It's tragic for the family. It's hard to live with, but that's behind us now. We've adopted the children. My wife is safe. The children are safe, and we're trying to move forward.
And you're working on that next chapter. And one of the things you're doing since your daughter's passing, you've been working to help raise awareness and help survivors of domestic violence. Can you tell us more about that and the event happening this weekend?
Sure. Well, I joined the board of Bay Area Turning Point. I'm actively working at that. Probably about 6 to 8 months after her death, her boss at Forest Park East approached us that her fellow coworkers and Dignity would like to further honor her and raise awareness and fund money for Bay Area Turning Point, and also and so we started the 5K. The first one was held in October of 2021. We are now a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Sunday, this Sunday, the 27th, will be our 4th annual. All funds raised, proceeds, are split between Bay Area Turning Point, which is a women's, not women's only, but a family crisis center, raising awareness on domestic violence and fighting sexual assault. And the Disciple Oaks, the Savannah Memorial Fund Scholarship Fund at Disciple Oaks Retreat Center in Gonzales, Texas. And that is the church camp that Savannah attended from 2nd grade through her college years. It was a very special place for her. Her kids are now attending church camp there. And the scholarship fund helps ensure that no child, no youth is going to be turned away for lack of funds. They will get to go to church camp if that's what they desire to do.
And you've really turned such a horrible situation into something very positive to help other people. And our final question here on that note, what is your message to someone at home who may be dealing with domestic violence?
To seek help, you have to do it safely. You need to get a safety plan. The organizations such as Bay Area Turning Point can help you do that. The most dangerous time in a domestic violence situation is when the victim decides to leave. But you are not alone. You do not have to live that way. Savannah was leaving. She did not want to live that way. She did not want her children to live with that. Unfortunately, she let it be known that she was done with it. To friends and family, if you see something, say something, and that it doesn't matter who you are. It goes beyond economic, socio guidelines. It can be anybody at any time. I have met so many people, influential people, people with money, people without money, all races that have been affected by this epidemic of domestic violence. And I would just say seek help, do it safely, but seek help. There are people that want to help you and will help you in so many ways. I know I'm familiar with Bay Area Turning Point, so I can speak to them. They can give, they can provide shelter. They can get you food. They can get you legal aid. They can go with you to court. Just so many different things that they can help the victims with. Unfortunately, a lot of help is needed.
Yeah, and they don't know the help that's out there. So we appreciate the powerful words of encouragement to help other people who may be dealing with domestic violence. Michael and Shirley, we really, really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.